Hi, welcome back to Auto My Closet. I'm Jennifer. How are you all doing today? Well, I hope everyone is doing well wherever you're watching from in the world. And yeah, I wanted to um, show how I go about taking in the sides of a dress, if the dress is too big. In the case where you probably lost some weight, maybe an inch or two, or, two, in other cases, maybe a dress size or two down, right? There was a subscriber that reached out to me and asked how I would if I would have if you would go about taking out the hem of the dress before taking in the dress. And I believe there are different ways you can approach that kind of alteration, because there different types of hems that I notice on the dresses. Like in this case here, this is a very simple one that you can remove the stitch, um, and do the um, adjustments on the sides, and then rehem the stitch, right? But then you have other dresses that you would have probably have to do more work too. So for instance, this one has a lining, and of course, with the hem looking like that. But this one would be a little more technical, So in this case, you'd have to remove this lining and remove this possibly, take it in. So, like I said, this would require more work on this kind of dress. This one may not require as much work. If you notice this double stitch on the fabric, right? On not a well, yeah, on the dress itself, on the hem. So with this, I wouldn't even bother to take out the hem. I would just take this in the seams all the way down. Like if I'm using the sewing machine, I would just take it in all the way down to here and then cut away the excess fabric from here. you know so like I said, I'm just trying to point out the different ways that they do the hems on these dresses. And to me, this one is the simplest form of doing that kind of alteration. So in this case, this is called a seam remover, and this helps to remove the thread and stitches from the garment. So this is what I would use to remove the stitch here from this hem, okay, by placing it like that in between the thread and the pull. And there is a purpose for the little ball on this side and the little pointy part on this side. This side here is when you're removing a seam, like this seam. You would put this on the inside and just keep on the fabric until the thread is all removed. But for the hem, you would place it on this side where the pointy edge is. So you place that there and pull at the thread to remove the stitch. Okay. So in this case, I took out the hem, not all the way around the dress, I stopped at a certain point because I don't need to take in, any other part of the dress than in the seam on the side. Okay, so I'm going to remove the stitch on both sides. Okay, and so from here, what I would do, and this is my recommendation, other sewists or seamstresses, may have different ways how they do these things. But here, I would want to take my bust size, my waist size, and my hip with a tape measure. And so I will turn my dress inside out. And here's where I would and then also on this dress, there is the facing, this piece here, and they have it stitched down here, this side. So I went ahead and just remove the stitching right there. So on this particular dress, I want to go ahead and do that because I'm going to be taking in from the armpit all the way down to the hem. Okay, so that's the facing part. With this here, I'm not sure with this piece here. This is to help the dress stay on the hanger, but I'll see how that works. Okay, so at this point, I would measure here in my bust area and mark it with a tailor's chalk, to see where, how much I need to take in the bust area. And I do the same thing for the waist. I'd mark it with the chalk, or you can use the pins. After measuring, you put a pin there. So whatever size, whatever your measurements are, is where you're going to be placing the pins. Okay, so you want to make sure you're holding the dress evenly so you don't get it uneven. Okay, so let's say my measurements are to here, like maybe taking 1.5 inches here, maybe taking maybe 2 inches here in the waist area, and then maybe 1 inch at the coming down to the hem of the dress. Okay, and so you can do it this way with the tape measure, and just mark the 1 inch mark. The same thing on this side, and mark that 1 inch mark. Okay, the same thing here in the waistline. Let's say it's about 2 inches in the waistline. Okay, you want to mark that 2 inch mark with your pin on both sides. Okay, and let's say in the bust area, it's 1.5 inches. Okay, and you put your pin there to mark the 1.5 inch measurement. Same thing on this side. You're taking in 1.5 inches on this side. Okay, so in this case, Now you would want to use your sewing machine and start from the top of the facing and just follow your guide where you place your pin. You want to start, like I said, at the very top of where the facing starts, right? You're gonna hold your dress in place. As you sew along, you're removing your pins that you're using as guides. You want to make sure when you get to the hem of your dress that both sides are even. You don't want one to be long and one to be short. If not, it's going to look like that. So you want to make sure you're holding them so that they're even. Excuse the shaking of the machine, guys. My surface here is not sturdy. Okay, but you can see where I took in the side of the dress, and that's what the right side looks like. And there's excess fabric here that I may keep just in case, or if you're pretty sure that your stitching is right, you can go ahead and trim that off. So when I'm hemming, what I do is just turn the, this part in and go ahead and hem. I'm going to use a needle and thread to tack this down in the seam. I'm going to line that up with the seam. So the next step would be to string your needle and thread. And for me, I like to double my thread and put a knot. I just think it's more secure. Okay, and for some, you may want to put basting thread to hold your hem in place, or you can use the pins, okay, to hold your hem in place while you're sewing. And I'm gonna go ahead and find the section where I stopped on pulling the thread, and I'm gonna be using the straight stitch. So in this case, I'm using red thread because it matches the color of the hem. And I try to sew it to where, the thread is not showing on the right side of the dress. So I'm just picking up a few pieces of the fabric and running the thread through. And while you sew, you want to make sure you're straightening your hem, so it doesn't gather up. So you're getting a flat look. Okay. I hope I'm explaining this right, okay, and you're able to follow. See, like that. So you want to run your fingers along the hemline so it straightens out. In my case, I didn't trim the dress all the way down on the side. You know, that excess. If it was a lot, I would, but it wasn't that bad to where, you know, I can't manage to sew it into the hem. So I just kept it just in case. I'm not intending on filling this dress out in its original form, but I just still kept it for whatever reason. Sometimes there's a method to our madness. Okay, so as you sew, the thread may gather up, but you want to, you know, use your fingers and run along the hemline so you straighten that thread out. Or that stitch that you make, straighten it out. Okay. We're almost there. Okay. The good thing about this is the length of the dress is okay. So it's not, you know, you don't have to worry about turning the hem and all of that, because if you had to do that, then, you know, you'd probably have to be using the iron afterwards. But fortunately, you know, you just went back in the same hemline, so you didn't have to do all of that, you know, extra work. So after you're done with that, you want to remove your basting thread if that's the technique that you used, and you want to trim away any excess thread from your garment. All right. Oh, and for me, I'm going to have to re-tack these areas. Okay. In this case, this piece that they used for hanging the garment on the hanger, they had them in different areas. So I was able to save one on the dress. Didn't have to do anything to that one. And then the other one, when I cut away that excess piece on the side, you know, this one was attached. So I'm trying to restore this on the garment. And this is where you can use this side where the ball is on the seam remover, and you can push it in the seam. The ball is going to go in the seam. The pointy part is going to stay on top. And so it's to get it in the right section. But, you know, I was able to cut that part away with using that. And able to get the, see? I'm able to get this without having to cut it. So here is where I use the opposite side and remove the thread. So I hope that kind of gave you a little demonstration. Okay, I'm having problem with my lighting, guys, but I'm hoping that you're able to see okay. So I was able to reattach my little string that they used to hang the garment on the hanger. And I was able to re-tack my facing as well, my facing on the dress. Okay, So I tried on the dress to see the adjustments that were made, and it fits. I think it's perfect. Okay, I was able to do the sides here, and it's just sitting right. So I'll show you, what it looks like full length. And yeah, I think this is one of my favorite pieces in my closet. And the cool thing about this is it has the shoes to match. So let me just show you the shoe. I actually found these shoes, just by chance. And when I saw them, I just couldn't leave them. They're Betsy Johnson, and they're real cute. All right, so I think that project was successful. I liked the way my dress feels on me. I like the way it turned out. And like I said, I think it's not my favorite piece. Well, it's one of my favorite pieces in my closet along with the shoes. And thank my subscriber for actually giving me the idea to do that, because I mentioned, like, in one of my videos, that the dress was a bit roomy, and that's why I'd worn a cardigan over it. But when she mentioned, if taking in the dress would require taking out the hem, I thought about it. I said, well, yeah, I could probably look up a few dresses in my closet and do that alteration on the next video. So yeah, here it is. I hope it was helpful, and if there was anything that I missed, please let me know. I'll be happy to go over something that was missed, or if it's something that you want to know, I will do my best. If I don't know, I'll try to find out and present it at another time. But yeah, please like, comment, subscribe to my channel, and to continue to watch my videos. And I am anticipating for the channel to grow, so go ahead and subscribe if you haven't done so yet. All right, so I will see you guys on my next video. Bye. Yes, there was something that I wanted to mention and I'd forgotten. So when you remove the excess piece from the inside of your garment, the edges are gonna be the raw edges without any finishings, like the serge, when they use a serger machine to finish the inside. So here is an idea that I would recommend you do. This is called a pinking shear. And what I would do is to hold the fabric on the inside and cut, or trim rather, not cut, but trim. So this gives it a zigzag edge, and so you wouldn't have to worry like if your fabric would fray or if your edges look unfinished, so this just gives it a nice look with the pinking shears. Okay, and I got this one from Amazon.